You see that mountain over there? Yeah. One of these days, I'm gonna climb that mountain.
Hey guys, Dude here again. Today we're headed right there towards that peak. That is Picacho Peak, located between Phoenix and Tucson in Pinal County, Arizona. If you're coming from Phoenix, you're coming down I-10, it'll be about 21 miles east of Casa Grande. If you're coming from Tucson, it's about 45 miles west of Tucson on I-10, and you get off at exit 219. This is a landmark that has been used by travelers for centuries. This is a very prominent point that sticks up above the desert floor that can be seen for miles and miles. In fact, Picacho Peak can be seen from Tucson, 45 miles away. Once you get off of I-10 onto the Picacho Peak exit, you will head north right here into Picacho Peak State Park. The gates to the park are open from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. There is an entry fee of $7 per vehicle with a 4-person maximum. If you'd like to park at the visitor center, you can walk in for $3 per person on foot. Just after we pass the fee station, we'll take a left here and head on up to the trailhead. But first things first. So just as you turn into the trailhead, they got this little restroom here on the right-hand side. That'll be your last stop before you head up the mountain. And of course, they got women on the left because men are always right. Oh, I'm gonna get beat for that one. Let's make our way on up to this trailhead before I can't. Here we are. Time to find a parking space if we're lucky enough. Looks like my lunch bag. It's also my gear bag. Here we go. We'll be making our way up to the peak the fastest way we can. Hunter Trail. Heading up the north side, over and across the saddle, down around the south side, and on up to the peak. So to begin with, the trail starts off here with a little bit of incline lined by rocks, and that goes for quite a ways, but it's still inclining quite a bit. Right out of the gate, you're headed upward. So Hunter Trail is rated difficult, and it's not recommended for inexperienced hikers or anyone with any kind of knee or ankle conditions. They also don't recommend it for anyone under the age of 10, but I've seen a few younger, so know your limits and hike at your own risk. All right guys, so make sure to stay tuned throughout the hike here. I got a lot of information, a lot of little tidbits, kind of like sprinkles on top of a donut, a lot of information to give you. So I got campground information. I've got details.
You got what?
I don't know, not details, but anyway, a lot of little facts about the things around the area. And in fact, even got a Civil War story to tell you. So make sure you stay tuned. Didn't take long for that sun to disappear into the shade of the mountain. A lot of the places on the trail, there's these cables. They definitely help you get up the rocks, a little less scrambling that way, but you might want to bring gloves with you. Helps out with these cables, not so hard on your hands. Not bad at all for that section. I know it gets worse though. Let's keep it going. Hey guys, I believe I failed to mention I started this hike at about 11:45 this morning, and it's a late December day and it's 65 degrees. Beautiful day for a hike. Looking back down the trail here, we're about a third of a mile up the trail now. We got a pretty nice view here. And the entire hike all the way to the peak is about 1.5 miles. So up and down, out and back trail. It's about a 3-mile round trip trail. Nice view. Let's continue on.
Hey, we're almost about a half mile up now, and there's definitely some rock scrambling to do there. Can't even talk. Yeah, get your heartbeat going too. Well, take a little break here and then we'll head on up. All right, guys, right along this part of the trail here, there's a beehive up on the top of the cliff up there. I'm gonna try to get a shot of it and show you that. See that right there? Right in the center of the screen is a beehive. And here is our trail. Hope you enjoyed that. Got a little shaky with that zoom in there. Apologize for that, but that's just the way it goes when you zoom in. So back on the trail here, you can see on the side of the mountain, looks like some old water drainage created some cool like stalactites. Run up the trail, I believe there's a what might be considered a stalagmite. Get a shot of that. So let's continue on. Here we go. There's that formation. Pretty cool. And back down the trail.
The trails are open only during daylight hours. It's recommended that you take about 2 to 3 liters of water. Make sure you stay hydrated out there. Hiking boots are definitely recommended as far as I'm concerned. Make sure you've got good traction and good ankle support. Beware of loose or falling rocks, and definitely stay on the trail where footing is much more stable.
Right, so once you get up to this little cave area here, you're right at 3/4 of a mile, halfway all up to the peak. The trail will go, appears to go both directions, but your sign tells you right there. Make sure you go right, and that'll head you up towards the saddle. So here we go, saddle we go. All right, at this point, guys, we have made it to the saddle. That's not quite the peak, but there it is over there. That's where we're headed. Picacho Peak is a total of 3,974 feet from sea level. It's about 1,500 feet above the desert floor down there. And at this point here in the saddle, you are at 2,960 feet. And from the beginning of the trail, we have now gone almost 1 full mile. Well, shall we continue on? All right, here's the spot where it gets a little hairy. Getting into these cables again. But this time, it really starts getting steep. So, I was going to mention, this is not your grandmother's trail. But then again, I've seen several women out here that are probably in their 60s. So I guess that all depends on how good a shape your grandma's in. Yeah, Got this little mesh fence here with the rebar and poles holding back all the debris falling down on the trail. Whoop. Watch where you step. Remember that. There's a drop off. The rock definitely gets a little looser the higher up here you get. So make sure you are wearing shoes with good traction and watch your step. Make good foot placement and walk like a mule. At this point, the Hunter Trail intersects with the Sunset Trail and heads on up to the peak. As you can see, this gets pretty rocky headed up there, but you can make it. Actually makes nice steps. Yeah, I don't believe that that is the right way to go. No, we're not going that way. How about let's go this way? I think that looks much better. Yeah, that would be the wrong way to go too. Oh boy, I think that's the way we want to go. Look at that. Is this absolutely amazing or what? Freaking cool. Some have called this here the death chute. It's a very steep incline with cables on each side to assist you. It's probably, I'd say, maybe 30 to 40 feet high. You'll need a little bit of upper body strength in order to get up this part. Although it's been referred to as the death chute, it has not caused any known deaths. There have been deaths here at Picacho, but I'll fill you in on that news on the way back down. Right here is your last real challenging spot on the ascent to the peak. If wiggly cables and wooden planks spanning sheer cliffs are not your cup of tea, then you may as well turn around here. Nah, just kidding. There's no giving up at this point. Get your butt up that rock. Yeah, my friends, right there is the saddle. And we're still headed right up there.
And here we are. Once you have reached the top, it is a good time to break out that sack lunch you brought along consisting of hardtack and salted pork. But if you fail to bring along your allotted rations, you can just grab a handful of popcorn and enjoy the show. It was a warm springtime in sunny southern Arizona, where a callous group of Confederate Rangers, 120 strong, had assembled in Tucson under the command of Captain Sherrod Hunter. Their purpose was to expand the Confederacy westward.
Buford, fetch Sergeant Henry Holmes ASAP.
Yes, sir. At your service, Captain.
Sergeant Holmes, I need you and your 9 men to head out west and patrol Picacho Pass. If you can gather up a few Southern sympathizers along your travels, that would be stupendous.
Yes, sir. We'll head out immediately. A pro-Union column from California numbering 2,350 strong, under the command of Colonel James H. Carleton, had set out from California earlier that year to counter the Confederate efforts.
Lieutenant James Barrett, I have every confidence in your ability to seek out and find those damn rebels in this God-forsaken desert. But if you should encounter evidence of their presence, do not engage. Send word, and we will hit them with the full force of the mighty Union.
Yes, sir. My squad of 12 men and I are swell for the task. On that fateful day of April 15th, 1862, Barrett and his men met up with the patrol of Confederate Rangers near Picacho on the overland stagecoach route. Fearing an ambush from the Confederates, against orders, Barrett and his men rode into the Rangers' camp alone without waiting for backup from other California squads. Well, we've got to hit them now, boys, before they can call for reinforcements. Charge!
Holy Mother of Mary! Holmes, it's them damn Yanks!
Leave your pants and get out of them tents. It's go time, boys.
My horse been shot. I fell smack dab in the middle of a cactus. I feel like a pincushion.
That's the least of your worries, son. Get your tail moving before they fill you with lead.
I'm running out of bullets, Bill. Toss me a saddlebag.
Saddlebag's empty, Charlie.
Well, I need some quick or I'm gonna be pushing up daisies. Am I supposed to pull them out of horse's arse?
I've been hit, Scott. Help me. I'm bleeding real bad.
Damn it, Jim! I'm a cavalryman, not a doctor!
The intense battle went on for almost 90 minutes before the Rangers, having lost half of their men, were able to retreat back to Tucson and warn the others and prevent a surprise attack. The Union lost 6 of their 13 men, including Lieutenant Barrett himself. Now leaderless, the remaining 7 men were able to regroup and join up with the rest of Carleton's command. This Civil War engagement was one of the smallest battles in terms of number of forces, with only 23 total. It was also the westernmost battle of the American Civil War. Let's take a moment of silence to honor all the brave men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice so that we may be free. Well, looky there. At least I have one viewer left who enjoyed my story. Well, then again, maybe we'll just see what's on the news.
For news, folk. Now on to Newt for the weather. Howdy, folks. At Picacho Peak today, elevation of 3,374 feet, we have a blistering 68 degrees outside, sunny and bright. Now, on to sharing with traffic. Speaking of traffic, as we're headed back down the mountain, this trail has quite a bit of traffic on it. It's pretty heavily traveled. I've run into, at least probably 20 people or so coming up here this morning. and I'm sure I'll probably see just as many headed back down. So with that, let's get to it.
So I mentioned on the way here that Picacho has been used as a landmark for travelers for centuries. But did you know that they actually installed a beacon on the peak in 1932 to assist air travel navigation across southern Arizona? The trail on the south side up to the peak was developed with the assisting cables by the Civilian Conservation Corps to enable maintenance on the beacon. The beacon was later removed in 1965. Picacho Peak State Park was established in 1968, and Hunter Trail coming up the north side and over the saddle was developed to connect to the first phase. Here we are headed back down Death Chute, and as promised, deaths. There have been 4 deaths at Picacho Peak in the last century. In fact, all within the last 20 years. None of these deaths were the result of falling rocks or falling from dangerous cliffs. Rather, they have all involved high temperatures with the resulting heat exhaustion and stroke. The most recent was a 16-year-old Boy Scout who died from dehydration and hyperthermia in April of 2019. In May of 2015, a 29-year-old female died of heat-related illnesses while vacationing from Texas. A young couple ages 26 and 30 both died while on a hike together here in 2002 of heat-related illnesses. Make sure you take heed to the seriousness of hot weather. Do not hike in extreme heat, and always carry more water than you need. There are many trails that traverse the landscape around Picacho, including Hunter, the Overlook, and the Sunset Trail, which are both challenging and scenic. Speaking of trails, a historic trail, Picacho was a stop on the Butterfield Overland Mail Route until the 1870s. Picacho is actually a Spanish name for peak, so when they call it Picacho Peak, it's a little redundant. According to historical maps, there were actually quite a few mountains around Arizona that were marked as Picacho, but Picacho Peak was the only one that the name stuck with. One of the historic travelers who came through this area, Juan Bautista de Anza and the Anza expedition of 1775, camped near Picacho Peak on October 29th of that year. Speaking of camping, the state park has a visitor center with exhibits and store and a playground. There are historical markers throughout the park to give you all kinds of information that I cannot fit into here. There are picnic areas and a campground. The organized campground has 85 campsites located on the north slope of the mountain. The campsites are primarily built for RV between 35 to 45 feet long, but tents are allowed. Most have shade ramadas and or picnic tables and fire rings. All RV spots and camping spots have electric hookups, and the cost is $30 plus a $5 fee. There are toilets and showers, dumpsters, and a dump station. There is also drinking water. Dogs are allowed. Cell phone service is great here for just about any provider, but there is no Wi-Fi. The campgrounds are open year-round, and there are a couple of stores at the exit for getting your supplies. For Picacho Peak Campground, winter is the peak season, no pun intended. This is the desert, so expect high temps in summer, as well as snakes, scorpions, and other creatures. Okay guys, remember when you're out there hiking and camping, if you visit a place, leave no trace. If you pack it in, pack it out. And always take care of the world around you.
All right, guys, we're almost done. Well, if you enjoyed your little hike today, make sure to like and subscribe, and ding that little bell down there if you want to get notifications when a new video comes out. I'll try to make sure I get at least, I'd like to get at least one a week, but we'll see. I do have a job in the real world, so we'll see how this goes. Hey, look at that. I'm not even the last guy off the mountain. Ha ha!